Mayhem and Family Fun. Today we are going to do day 8 of our story and reading class. Now you may know, ow, I hit my knee off of my little, I hit it off of the stand. Okay, so basically, you may know that I missed yesterday, so this is day 8, and I put yesterday's daily question in day 7, so go check that out. Alright, so we're going to read our story and rhyme bedtime for every bedtime. Let's read. So, as you may know, day 7, we basically read a little bit of stories, but for day 8, here for a treat, we have a long story. It's called The Missing Kettle. Let's read. There was a woman, there was a woman, not a lemon. There was a woman who lived on the island of, I don't even know what that world is, and she only had a kettle to hang over the fire to boil her water and cook her food. Every day, one fairy folk would come and take the kettle. She would slip into the house quietly without saying a word, so being silent, and grab a hold of the kettle handle. Each time this happened, the kettle made a clanging noise, and the woman looked up and this run. The smith is able to make cold iron hot with coal to do of a kettle its bones and bring it back whole. And then the fairy would fly away with the kettle, and the woman would not see it again until later in the day. When the fairy brought it back, filled with flesh and bones, there came a day where the woman had to leave home to go to a fairy across the mainland. She turned to her husband, who was making a rope of heather to keep the thatch on the roof. Will you say the rhyme that I say when the fairy comes for the kettle? Her husband said that she would work out the rhyme just as she did, and then went back to work. So he has a husband, and I'm guessing they're living on the island with a house. After the woman had left to catch the boat, the fairy arrived as usual, and then the husband saw her come to the front door. And when he saw her, he started to feel afraid, for unlike his wife, he had no contact with the little people. If I locked the cottage door, he was going to assume she would go away and leave the kettle, and it will just be as he never come. So the husband locked the door and did not open when the fairy tried to come in. But instead of going away, the fairy flew up to a hole in the roof where the smoke from the fire escaped. Before the husband knew what was happening, the creature had made the kettle jump right out of the... So this is the picture of the kettle. If you don't know what kettle is, it's like basically... That's how in the old day they used to cook their food. They didn't have ovens, I'm pretty sure. They used kettles. All you do is put some water in it, inside of the kettle, and then hang it above a fire, and then it will cook, and then you cook your food in there. Cool. The fairy made away with the kettle before he knew what to do. When his wife returned that evening, there was no kettle to be seen. What have you done with my kettle? I looked like I raised my eyebrow a little. What did you do with my kettle? Yeah, kinda. I've done nothing with it. What are you talking about, crazy woman? Okay, he didn't actually say that. That was just my opinion, said the husband. But I took fright when the fairy came. Closed the door to her. She took the kettle through the roof, and now I was gone. You pathetic wretch! Can't believe you even mind the kettle when I go after a day. And you lost my precious little kettle. The husband tried to tell his wife that the fairy might return the kettle the next day, but the woman would hear nothing of it. Off she went right away to know where the fairies lived. And she could get the kettle back herself, because the husband doesn't even get the kettle back. It was quite dark when she reached the fairies' knoll. The hillside opened to her, and when she went in, she only saw an old fairy sitting in the corner. The woman supposed the others were out in the nightly mischief. Soon she found her kettle and noticed it still contained remains of the food that the little people had cooked in it. So they're using her kettle to cook her food? Why can't they just buy their own? She picked up the kettle and ran back down the lane when she heard the sound of dogs chasing her. Oh, dogs. They have rabies. You better run as fast as your legs have ever gone. The old fairy must have let them loose. Thinking quickly, she took out some food from the kettle, threw it to dogs, and hurried on. Then this slowed down the dogs, and when they began to catch up with her again, they threw down more food. Finally, when she got near her own gate, she poured the rest of the food, hoping that the dogs would not come into her own house. Then she ran inside and closed the door. Day after that, the woman watched for the fairy coming to take the kettle, but the little creature never came again. You see, the dogs are like, I don't even know what that is. It's like a little cool creature. And that is all we learned today. We learned a little bit about a kettle, and I told you a little bit about the kettle. Bye, guys. See you later. Night, if you're going to bed. Sorry if this wakes you up. No notification sound. I gotta do what I gotta do, so. And plus, you guys love me. Well, I hope. Bye, guys. Peace.